Here we go again, episode 50 of the Cornerfield Kitchen podcast with my friend Alex Wood.
Hello, Adrian.
Hello, welcome back.
Thank you very much. Back to Cornwall for the summer pilgrimage.
Comes on holiday every year to
Yeah.
Cornwall. So
Yeah.
we meet up and have breakfast and have barbecues and things.
Yes.
so
Catch up on the last 12 months of life. Yeah.
Probably known each other about 15 years, something like that.
Something like that. Back in the days of the early days of the staff canteen when you were Basil Dog, I believe.
Staff canteen?
Yeah.
Well, we'll get to that. Maybe.
Yes, yeah.
Your journey in hospitality, or how the fuck did I get to here?
Yeah.
Where did you start?
Where did I start? I started...
Where were you born? We do all the details.
Oh, bless, right, okay, right back to the beginning. Yeah, first there were the dinosaurs, and then, closely followed. No, I was born in Mid Wales, Ysbyty Bronglais in Aberystwyth. I lived in Pennell for a few years. Settled down in Machynlleth for all my formative years and little villages around. So went through school. Probably best not talk about that. And then, at the end of school, I had a summer job and I was grading fleeces at a local wool mill.
How about the Welsh occupation?
Yeah, absolutely. So you literally...
Fleece grader.
Yeah, you did. Well, I wasn't a grader. I wasn't that good. I was just a pleb that moved the trolleys around when they filled up. Anyway, so, put cash in my pocket for a Friday and a Saturday night. So we did that. And because I finished long before my friends had got kitchen porter jobs at local hotel, and I was stood loitering at the town clock where my mother told me never to loiter, waiting for them to finish work. And then it was kind of getting close to 9 o'clock when they were knocking off and we could go clubbing. And one of them literally ran across the road into the Red Lion across the road from the Winstay Hotel, and then ran back with a tray of beer. And I'm doing the wrong thing here. And so following night, I think it was, I went in and I spoke to the chef and he still wanted another kitchen porter. So therefore I stopped grading fleeces and started washing up, and we would be given the grunt jobs of passing the soups and plating pates and prawn cocktails and putting the orange juice into...
So 16-year-old, 17-year-old?
God, I think I was 18 by that point.
Right.
Yeah, I tried going back to school. I fluffed my exams, and then I tried to go back just so I could fluff them again. So this is kind of on the cusp of 17, 18. It was just, they looked like they were having so much fun, more fun than me. And so I did some skivvy work there for a while, and the summer was coming to an end, and it was the end of season, and I was like, I quite like money in my pocket. What am I going to do? And it's it's seasonal. It's very Cornish in kind of its thing. It all relies on tourism. And it was Trusthouse Forte then, so they had an internal transfer board. So then I managed to secure myself a kitchen porter's job in Epping.
Right.
Yes, so I moved down to just outside the big city at the end of the Central Line, little proper...
CHF?
Yeah, proper country oik. And I went to work at a hotel that's very much in the news at the moment.
Which one's this?
The Bell Post House in Epping, which is now it's an immigrant hotel.
Oh, okay.
So it's where all these protests have been, and that is the Bell Post House.
Right.
I was a KB there for a while, and I remember, so just one Saturday night, and chef de partie on the veg, and the head chef had a screaming ab-dab in the middle of a busy service. He threw his whites in the fryer. And because I didn't have much better to do. I was helping out, and I've always been the kind of guy up there having more fun than me. So I did a bit of learning. I did the usual kind of the Marco trick of chef left me to pass the stock, and then I screamed down to the canteen where the chef's having a break, and I go, "What do you want doing with the bones?" He goes, "Oh, you can throw those." And I went, "Then you'll have nothing, chef." "What have you done with the water?" "Well, I just put it down the drain, chef." Anyway, so this Saturday night, so I can do that. And I probably had the best service of my life. I was so oblivious to the fact that everybody else was doing my work. I thought I was doing great. I never went back to the sink, so I carried on cooking for about another 6-9 months, just, very badly. But, I was loving every minute of it. And God, what happened then? Oh, that's right. Yeah, I came to Winchester, which was my first foray. Again, another THF transfer. And then just realized that the vibe was not the same. And being kind of 19 and full of Friday, Saturday nights, and not really that fussed about my job, didn't last at all. Got my mummy to pick me up and take me home. And then I thought, well, I suppose I better get qualified. And I went to college for 2 years, part of day release. So I did that. I walked out with my City and Guilds 7061 and 7062, which obviously a lot of kids watching this will never even comprehend what those
Weirdly,
were like.
I did a private gig for a lady, and she was a City and Guilds assessor.
Okay.
So they're still around.
You're all right.
They're still relevant.
You're right.
I don't know if the colleges are doing 761.
Yeah, I don't know. It's more, I mean, I've done some apprenticeship things more recently with kids, and they just get a big fat book of, your first 20 pages are, do you know what a carrot looks like? Can you hold the right end of a knife? That kind of stuff. It does get more complex towards the end, but that first 6 months is genuinely laughable, sadly. But I guess it's, it's obviously that jaded thing when you've done a number of decades doing something, and what might come completely second nature to me, you've just got to kind of wind it in and go.
It's like when Dan started, he had the fortunate position of growing up in the bistro, having parents that ran restaurants, and he grew up in the whole industry and just absorbed it. So you can't not absorb some of it.
Oh, of course.
And then you've got people that want to learn how to be chefs or front of house or something and have no experience whatsoever.
Yeah.
So you have to sort of.
You've got a very
tough job.
You've got to keep Dan interested whilst you're getting them to hold the correct end of a knife. Yeah, exactly. I appreciate that.
I was quite impressed that Dan stuck out 2 years of college, because I knew there was times when he was frustrated.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, absolutely. And then from there, I went and did a couple of bits and bobs. I was kind of thought I worked at. I decided to thought, well, I'm not really that fussed with kitchens. Probably I could do a management-y thing, and I enrolled onto a uni course at Sheffield Hallam University, BTEC in hotel management or something back in the day, and then promptly went for a summer job with my girlfriend at the time in Staines. And I worked at the Swan Hotel, and that was an absolute beast. It really was. On the Thames, you'd be serving food to the sixth boat on the left, fourth one out, and they just berth up on each other. And it was horrific. We did just so much. We do kind of 2,000 roasts with 3 in the kitchen.
Jesus Christ.
But yeah, it was manageable. It was ping and ding, piss easy, nasty food. And people would go, right, there's a 2-hour wait on roasts, and we've only got peas left, no roasties. Yeah, I'll wait. Never understood it, but it did. And then I just thought, again, I was really enjoying money, and then I thought, if I go to university, I'm not gonna have any money. I want money, so I've been Sheffield, and I took the head chef gig there, and I thought I was okay, so I just carried on doing the same thing as the head chef before we did, and realised, no, you kind of probably need to be a bit better than me. Went to help a friend open a Tex-Mex for a few months in Staines as well. Again, I thought I was a dog's bollocks, but looking back on it, I was terrible.
It does take.
Yeah.
I'm going to guess there's one kitchen that opened your eyes to what real cooking.
There's definitely, we'll get to them as they come. There's 2 or 3 formative kind of turning points, definitely. We're coming to the first one, and it was obviously my own shortcomings. And again, I was still very much into my Friday, Saturday nights, and because I was close to London, I was partying harder than I ever did before. So it was having an impact on my work, even though behind my own eyes I was doing fine. So I could feel my tenure come to an end, because they didn't really like me, and I wasn't that fussed about the work anyway. And I just I knew a guy called Julian Jenkins at Wentworth, ex-Savoy, and a guy called Nana Afoku, who was at Cliveden House. And for some reason, one thing and another, I went for an interview as the sous chef at Cliveden House. And I could always talk a good game. So the interview was going quite well. And then halfway through, he gets a phone call. He said, you're in this dive of a kitchen. It's grim. It's tiny little arches into different sections. There's no one big kitchen. Every nook had its own section. Larder was here, pastry was right over there. But his office was oak panelled, all the books and everything, behind glass doors and what have you. It was beautiful. And yeah, we were just chatting. Yeah, like most good interviews, they degenerate into a chat fairly quickly. And anyway, he receives a phone call halfway through the interview. Asks me to just, apologize. It goes to the kitchen, screams for one of the guys, can you knock up an Eggs Benedict for room, blah, blah, blah. Comes back in, I finish the chat, we're talking wages, I've come through an agency, he's trying to get me off agency like every chef there ever was. And I walk away going, I'm not going to survive there. And mainly because I didn't know what an Eggs Benedict was. Didn't have a clue. He'd yelled for something that I didn't know.
Yeah.
I thought it was a muffin something. That was it. That was the extent of my knowledge. And I drove back and I thought, you are shit. And I got back to my little Tex-Mex, and just another day at the office. And I was just going through the local rag, and Wentworth were advertising for demi-chef de parties. And I thought, well, it's not the bottom rung, it's kind of one up. So, but it maybe I can learn. So I went up there, and Julian was the exec, and I got the job. And with the exception of a 10-day hiatus where I went to Hungry Horse, because again, they paid more money and I was more interested in money, but that fell apart really bad. I came back to Wentworth. I did nearly 3 years and I left as banqueting sous.
Right.
But that was definitely a formative turning point in the fact of just learning and actually giving a damn more than at Wentworth, the 16 hours you were there every day. And it was kind of, all of a sudden I was reading trade press with a bit more interest than the jobs pages. And all of a sudden I was looking at what other chefs were doing. No bloody Google, no nothing like that, of course. But all of a sudden it's kind of, and then I entered some Rioja sous chef competition, which that's when I started realizing my brain probably wasn't wired 100% the same as everybody else's, because then I was trying to do a savory donut as a starter for that. Didn't go anywhere, but the learning process of just ignoring the rules. I've always been a great one. We'll get to pottery at the end, where I also fairly ignore the rules on that as well. And yeah, so I did Wentworth. Horrible, nasty, old school kind of place. Jumping between two chefs when they're having a battle over 5 shallots, one with a big frying pan about to swing and the other with a knife in his hand. It's one of those kitchens. And but a great bunch of people, and we were always in a ship, budgeted for 21, never had more than 13. Yeah. We're all doing, if you were doing 5 days a week, you were on holiday. And yeah, it was just one of those where we all swam so deep in the same shit, we all got on most of the time. Volatile when we didn't, but it was great. Went from there eventually and took half my guys to the Beresteed in Ascot.
Okay.
I should take one little step back here for a second, and because we did 2 major golf tournaments. My darling wife, who is my wife and has been since when did we get this? This is actually on record, isn't it? So I should try and remember. When did we first get together? 95 was when we first met, when I didn't have time to lift my heads up and I just watched legs going past the pass. And we got together in a bit of a whirlwind romance, where from 3 days of our first date, we were engaged. So that was fairly swift. I know, right? Slacker. Yeah. And so we get together, and then Wentworth was Wentworth. It was just very, very old school. And then went to the Beresteed as a sous. Very interesting head chef there. I won't name his name, but his favorite declared ingredient was ketchup. Okay. Lovely guy, great with numbers, shit with food. Left me to write the menu, was where I got my first official rosette of what was my food. Mm-hmm. He promptly lost it 3 months later when I took a day off. So yeah, we'll leave that at that. Anyway, so in the time I was at the Beresteed, me and my wife got married towards the end. I was only there about 18 months. It was lovely, nice country house hotel. It's just, again, a reasonable bunch of people, and where I kind of, all of a sudden, I had to learn how to manage different people. It was great. The ones I brought and went with me, they knew how I ticked. That was fine. So it was my senior chef de partie en sauce, my pastry chef, happy days. Exec chef left me alone. I just ran the kitchen, he did everything else. But like the juniors on larder and things like that, I kind of learned a lot of how to try and get the best out of them, because you couldn't just scream at them anymore. Yeah, so from there, me and the missus decided, we were kind of, again, looking through trade press, and there was a place called Marchese's in Broadstairs, overlooked the channel, little 60 cover restaurant. They want a head chef. And I was kind of tired of constantly having to answer to somebody else. I kind of actually did know a bit by this point. And went down for the interview. Mrs. knew Broadstairs, because one of her best friends from school lived there, and she did a ballet school. So they are kind of a little clique of their own, and they keep in touch, and that's what Facebook is great as well. So we went to Broadstairs. I took on the Marchese job. Lovely little restaurant. It was challenging in their own right. Yeah, it was a basement kitchen, no problem there. But we had to send food up in a dumbwaiter, and it was a manual one. So you kind of you pressed a doorbell, and then you had to wait a couple of seconds in case anybody had the head in at the top, and then you just rammed the food up. So all of a sudden, you've got to think about your presentation. It's got to be able to kind of survive that at the top. Because when you're in the shit, the KP is trying to get it up there as fast as he can. And you're just frisbeeing plates into the thing. But yeah, that was again quite interesting. Yeah, it was only a small brigade, psycho busy in the summer, in the winter, and kind of one of the daftest things that everybody used to do is during asparagus season. Guys used to start building a ball from the asparagus rubber bands. Yeah. And then you'd go in the back in the prep kitchen, and then you'd just flip a lid on the bin and see if you could bounce it into the, and yeah, that was service on a quiet February. Went through the Millennium there. That was quite interesting, because the world was still thinking they could charge £20,000 for a ticket on Millennium. Yeah. Yeah, so we overpriced horribly, and we were quite quiet. Really? Yeah, I mean, yeah. Strangely, we're still probably half full of the restaurants. So about 30 people turned up to this menu that probably started at about 400 quid in the June, became kind of £120 menu by December for the same food. You know, we still made double GP on it regardless, you know, because we weren't that expensive a restaurant anyway. We weren't cheap. We weren't, definitely weren't competing with the mainstream. It was still kind of nice steaks, nice fish dishes, that kind of stuff. Pretty simple.
But we always used to do New Year's Eve. And I think it was always the same bunch of guests, and they sort of organised themselves around. I remember one year, one of the guests came in and go, "What is it? 7 o'clock tonight, Adrian?" I went, "Yeah, it'll be fine," because they were all sort of probably 3 or 4 largish groups. Yeah. There wouldn't be 3 or 4 large tables because we just couldn't do that, but we did sort of break them down a bit. And she goes, "Oh, what's the price tonight?" I said, "I think it's about 65." She goes, "No, I'm going to tell them 75." They were kind of guess that you're on your side completely. But I think Millennium, one of the guests came up with an idea of a black and white theme. Right. I don't know why. I'm sure that was Millennium. But yeah, everyone was in black and white, and there was monochrome kind of. Right. Food wasn't, but there was some sort of theme to it. Yeah.
You get some black and white plates and shit.
No, I used to I went through a spell of getting orange plates and blue plates, because we had next door, we had Second Supply, which was sort of reject kitchen shop. Yeah. And it was literally next door, and everything was random shelves, and I'd go in and I'd just buy 6 orange plates and think they were the best thing, and then a week later go, "These are shit," and throw them away. And they had this cow-shaped milk jugs.
Oh yeah, I know them. Yeah.
Yeah, which I thought were brilliant. And I remember Cherie.
Yeah, you got a handle here. They're about that long, and they're really almost impossible to.
Yeah. I thought they were cute as a button, so I had those. And Cherie, to this day, she hates them. She hated them. Like, I'm sure she's trying to break them on purpose. Anyway, so we've come to the Millennium.
Yes. Yeah. So we're at the Millennium. And, you know, I was just plodding at Marquez. I was just kind of cruising. It was a fairly easy job. You know, my key staff weren't going anywhere, so I didn't have that worry. I knew what they were doing. They weren't particularly good at what they did, but yeah, they turned up on time. And Yeah, so I can't remember. Oh, that was it. Yeah, it was the wife's birthday in November, and I went up to One Aldwych.
Okay.
Took her for lunch because Julian was working there. Julian from Wentworth, and he was the exec there at the time. And so I had lunch, and so Julian was sending me out a few extras, and then he sent out a couple of dishes I'd ordered. And I'm sitting there going, I think I want to work here. I think I need to do this food. And couple that with the fact my owner had just brought in most of my a la carte restaurant, my a la carte ingredients frozen from Booker's so we could save a few quid. It was just definitely not on my radar of what I wanted to do. Obviously not having any real idea how to run a business. I will buy the best and I will sell it for what I hope is enough money. It didn't really have to cost fuck all, Anyway, so by the December, I think I started on the 12th of December 2000. That was a baptism of fire, 5-star hotel restaurant, 24-hour room service, and 24-hour kitchen, going from a brigade of 3 regulars to 24 on my rota. Senior sous.
Senior sous.
Yeah. And
which I always say sous chefs are the hardest job in the kitchen.
Yeah, because especially when you get 12 days in, you're left to do the entire Christmas ordering. That was hairy.
I think sous chef is harder than head chef because head chef, you're the boss. You can make decisions, and you have a sous chef to back you up.
Yeah.
And on your days off or your holiday, and you're not there, the sous chef has got to do your job, but he hasn't got a sous chef. He hasn't got himself backing him up. He's on his own, and you've got to execute. You've got to keep your boss happy. And then the management and the owners or whatever above them happy. But you're executing other people's ideas and things like that. I think sous chef is the hardest job in the world.
Yes. Yeah. I kind of thought that when I was a sous chef for sure. And having kind of generally been a career number 2 majoritively. Yes, I'm head of production now, but I'm still a number 2. But yeah, anyway, going back to so I started at One Aldwych. It was kind of plodded there. It was great in the fact that it was a consistent busy. Kitchens like that are a dream. Monday you're full, Friday you're full, Sunday you're full. You have the odd blip. Kind of Christmas and New Year are challenging, but more challenging because you've got to deal with less delivery days and more food. And just kind of, logistically organizing that. But it was great, with the exception of the odd night when, the night chef would phone up at 11 o'clock going, I'm not coming in. Okay, so I'd look at the rota, who can stay? That would be me. So I did that a few times, and keep a sous chef for half an hour while I run down and get a dozen Red Bulls just to get through the night. But other than that, it was great. I mean, I left there in 2007. I had the bike crash.
Okay.
The one that made me hang up my keys. I'd had a couple before where I'd had a week off because of bad bruising or some kind of messy nonsense, the odd hurt. But this one, crushed my leg. So I became partially titanium, and then it was just a case of I got probably London's a bit too fast for me now. My leg really hurts, etc. And then you kind of doubt what you're capable of. Can I do 16 hours on my feet? I mean, when I was head chef by that point, and my standard working week, I'd get in at kind of 9 o'clock on a Tuesday, and I'd do 4 doubles, and then I would stay at my wife's parents' house out in Barnet, and then I'd do a breakfast on a Sunday. So from 2 o'clock, I'd leave the building religiously at 2 o'clock on a Saturday, and I wouldn't have to come back until Tuesday morning. And that was it worked for me. I've never been one of these late shift people, because if there's a mess to fix in the afternoon, I want to be the one that made it.
Yeah, absolutely. I find it difficult. I mean, I'm doing breakfast a lot now, but I've always rather start early. And young James who comes here to do, I said, we start in the morning. We haven't got that much to do, but I'd rather have a buffer of a split. Or a couple of hours, because there's so many variables of things not being delivered or things going wrong. 99% of the time you can nail it first time, but if you have to make them from again, I'd like some time to be able to fix my mistakes and fix the errors. And
if you walk in at 2-3 o'clock, especially in a kind of larger brigade environment, and whoever was on the morning didn't fix it, but you've got to fix it. So it's kind of, I made this cock up at 10 a.m. So it should have been fixed by 10:30. Why am I doing this now? So I just didn't bother. I just did doubles. If somebody put me on late, I just come in early. It was just that. So I thought, well, and then at that time, Campbell Gray Management, who was kind of the main company that was behind One Aldwych.
I think Gordon Campbell Gray.
Gordon Campbell Gray, yeah.
Our paths have crossed.
Yeah?
Oh, yeah. Oh, well, that's very kind.
Thank you.
Pagan juice.
Oh, you're a legend. Thank you.
Let's move on to beer.
Yes, let's. All right, let's throw a good advert. Yeah.
Oh, we didn't make this.
Happy days. Thank you.
This is Blunt Brewery.
No.
But this is from our good friends next door at Home Supply.
Wonderful.
I'm going to finish. Oh no, we started now. Bloody started now. Go on then, carry on.
Yeah. Anyway, so Gordon Campbell Gray, who I'd obviously had a relationship with him, Simon Hurst, everything, all that crew, and we had the management contract at Goodwood, so for the hotel.
Yeah.
And so they were looking for a head chef down there. The F&B director became the general manager. The bars manager became the F&B manager for Goodwood. I moved. There were 5 of us in total. I forget exactly who, but key positions were filled by people from One Aldwych, and I was the head chef of the restaurant. It had an exec because there was 2 restaurants. Mm-hmm. So I was just given one of them. Nearly crashed my car on the way home one night because they used my name in advertising. So it was the first, nobody told me, and there was all of a sudden this Alex Wood, top London chef, taking over the helm. I just nearly crashed my car. But anyway, so I quickly learned that I ran a lot less in London than I did in a country house. Because if we had to do events, we then had to ferry everything down to the other side of the estate. So we basically load up a golf cart, take it down, run around that little kitchen. Well, you've still got restaurant service running up there, but you've got to serve 250 down that end. And it was a challenge. Yeah, and I wasn't really ready for it. I was kind of healed. I was off work for about a year in total, but I was kind of healed. But I just thought, this is nuts. What am I doing? And I got made redundant. So then Lord March and Campbell Gray obviously had words somewhere along the way, and Campbell Gray just went, "See ya." And the 5 of us were left hanging, and Goodwood didn't really want, obviously had a bad taste of Campbell Gray in their mouths, and we were hastily put at risk and see you later. Thankfully, I had 8 years continuous service, so at least I walked away with a couple of quid. And so I took a couple of months off just during that, because I didn't really understand how redundancy worked. So I didn't realize I could have claimed some stuff long before then. I was still in the middle of a massive claim with my leg, etc., which was ongoing. And so what was next? Oh, I started interviewing a couple of places. Went to Harrods for an interview. That was a big monster, which I felt like I didn't fit, and obviously they did too, so I didn't get the job there. So from Harrods, I had an interview with Harrods in the morning, and then I had an interview with St. Stephen's Club in the afternoon, and I met Troels Horst Poulsen and the GM, and I managed to talk myself into that one. And that was again kind of one of those little formative jobs that just changed the way. That's where you started coining me a voodoo cook, because I just had so much time, so much time, and I need to step back because I've missed a bit.
Okay.
Yeah. So let's go back to about 2005. And I'm picking spinach with Mark Gregory, my executive chef of One Aldwych. And we're just shooting the breeze, because picking spinach isn't exactly the most challenging task, and you've got a big mountain of it. And I'm going to Mark, "Do you mind if I buy fresh spinach tomorrow? I don't want to do this." And he's going, "Well, considering you're the most expensive spinach picker in London, I think that'd be a really good idea." And anyway, so we were just chatting, and I'd read something about some lunatic making ice cream out of bacon and eggs.
Okay.
And I thought, that's really cool. That's really interesting. And of course, it's bloody eggs and bacon, maple. Bacon associate with salt and sweet. Yeah, it makes so much sense. He goes, yeah, Heston, I know him. And I went, what? Yeah, Heston. Yeah, well, Fat Doug and Bray. Yeah, I know. Do you want to go do a stage? I said, yes. So within a couple of weeks, I went there 2014. No, they must have been earlier, because 2014, I went there in the January for the stage, and I was just fortunate enough to turn up the same week they got their 3 Michelin stars.
Oh, well.
Yeah, so all of a sudden, the stagiaire in the kitchen was a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
And because they literally went from, like every restaurant, they were busy on Saturday, but their weeks were okay. All of a sudden now every day was Saturday. And it was the old kitchen. So, I loved it because you couldn't, if you set up a board, you couldn't set it that way, ever. You had to set it that way because you were shoulder on. You're chopping, you're rubbing somebody.
Who was talking about the other day? It might have been you. No, it might have been Stefan when he was working in France. And it was like there were tiles on the kitchen floor that's where you stood.
Right.
And you weren't allowed to leave. Kitchen porters would bring you the next stuff, and you can take that away. I need to prep this, bring that to me, and they would just literally be. You do not leave, your tiled area. That's you've got 3 tiles for your feet.
Oh, bless. I mean, we could leave. I mean, yeah, I always admire kitchens that have that level of organisation. You do see it in kind of 3 stars. I saw a glimpse more of it in Noma. Yeah, Fat Duck was fairly regimented because they were already 2-star, and they'd literally just got the 3-star just there and then. So there was a lot of regimented things. And what I found with kind of 1-star kitchen and 2 to 3 rosette kitchens, I know. 1-star kitchen are on the cusp of that. And they're still what you and I would class as, a bunch of chefs. When you get that little bit higher, these guys, they are a different league. It's just the way, the thought process you have to do to make that kind of thing a success. I was watching a video with Kirk Howarth the other day. And when he did his stage at the laundry, and its spoons have to face a certain way, and he couldn't get a drop of red beetroot juice on him.
Yeah,
and that.
Talking to Josh about this, and what was the restaurant we were talking about, where the spoons have to face a certain restaurant?
Bouchon, that's French Laundry. It has to face Bouchon, yeah.
We were talking about it, and that discipline, and you love all that, because if you look at all his labels, he does that thing of cut a label straight.
So you get your tape, you lay it out, you cut it.
Yeah, he does that, and
Yeah, when I was at Noma, if your labels were off skew, you'd get given the entire stack and do the fucking lot again.
See, I can get that.
Yeah,
I get it.
But that was
I get it. I get the rationale behind it.
The head chef when I was at Noma was Matt Orlando, and he was ex-laundry. Not laundry per se.
Okay.
So obviously, same Thomas Keller. Obviously, they've got their and they've got their little nuances, and it is that you watch a couple of episodes of The Bear, and it's that when he's in the high dining kitchen, not the sandwich shop. You either thrive on it, or it crushes you.
Yeah. It would crush me.
So I went to this guy who was making bacon egg ice cream. I turned up on my first day, and kind of Heston was off doing something else. So I was like, can't chat to him. So I was chatting to Jockey most of the day because he's like second lunatic, and Ashley. And so I just had a day of being treated like a bitch and doing all the prep they didn't want to do. That's fine. That's why I'm there. Second day, Heston was there, and it literally just like talking to an overexcited school child about the new juice pop he found or something like that. It just bring a smile to your face, just the way he would answer the most mundane questions, because he was just so enthusiastic about what he did. And that really kind of just cemented that idea of, stop accepting. And that was the thing. When I was in Wentworth, chef, why does melting butter into some liquid make a thicker sauce? Because it does. Yeah, chef. That was it. And stop accepting, start questioning. And it was, there's some shit that you pinch from me, and boiling green vegetables in bottled water because calcium's like a magnet to chlorophyll. Some things like that were great. So now you can have bright green beans, but they're nice and soft. You don't have to have that crunch that chefs. Chefs always said, they've got to be al dente. No, they don't, because if you cook them any further, they're fucking brown. Yeah, anyway, so that was, I did that stage, did like quite a few outlandish bits and bobs while I was at One Aldwych for the remaining couple of years before I went to Goodwood. I'd say half of them were okay, half of them were definitely learning moments of shit on a plate, but, you know. Thankfully, yeah, it's quite a big tasting circle, so I'd be told if it was shit. But you know, it was great. And then when I went back to where we are in St. Stephen's Club, all of a sudden I've got a brigade of 7, and I'm doing between 20 and 30 lunches a day. No dinners, just lunches.
Right.
Yeah, we're in at 7 in the morning. No, we don't do breakfast either. We do the odd breakfast event, but we don't do breakfast. And the outgoing words of the head chef before me were, "This job is as hard as you want it to be. It's as hard as you want to make it."
Yeah.
And that was, yeah, profound words. And it was easy to make money there because we could overcharge these Conservative Club members quite happily. We did enough events to kind of cover the food costs. We all worked maybe 2 Saturdays a year. But, you know, if it was a big wedding, 2 of you went in. If it was a 50 or less, you could do it on 1. We'd all prep it on a Friday. But you could do a 50 cover wedding with just 1 of you. And you remember St. Stephen's.
I do.
Because during St. Stephen's was the very, very famous Kai Care.
Yeah.
Do you know, that was the weirdest thing, because we talked a lot. Had we met up? I don't know.
When was Kai Care?
About 14 years ago.
We'd only just met. Because the first year I came down and met you, we had lunch at Margot's.
Right.
That was before. I believe I exchanged some copper pans for a discount. Yeah. And that was from St. Stephen's. The copper pans were excess crap in storage, so I was selling them off, and I had a stack I could give you for a discount on my overly large family lunch.
But I do remember going up to London to your kitchen, because we had all these satellite kitchens that we were borrowed space to do a bit of prep.
Well, you, Russ, the Tanners, everybody was in mine.
It was mad.
Yeah.
It was the first time I'd cooked with Russ.
Yeah.
And I told him when he was having a chat, I said, I was so nervous chopping your chives. I can remember doing it now in your kitchen, going, "Shit, this is from a Michelin star chef. I've got to chop his chives. They better be good enough. They better be good."
But I was just doing a weird one, so I knew I was pretty safe. I was the only non-starred boy to get a course.
It wasn't your kitchens, go away. I found that there was parts of that kitchen that were falling apart. Because it was like basement-y. Yes,
basement-y. We'd had a flood about 3 months before.
That might explain.
A lot of repairs hadn't been done from that.
And what I expected, the St. James area?
Yeah.
London, club, you doing all your magic stuff, and you know, as you say, making the job as hard or so that means playing with your food. Yeah, so basically I never, the way I treated that place was we wrote the menu fresh every week, and I never repeated a single dish in a year.
Wow.
Yeah. So
well, I was expecting something a bit slicker. But
I do remember Martin turning up, that old Jewish fella, who no experience in chefing at all, but had just heard, I'm here to help. Such a lovely old man. And then Chris Tanner turned up just to help, because James was filming and doing TV stuff in London, but Chris was up, and then they both came and did the.
Chris did the evening.
Yeah, they did the veggies and that, and Chris and James.
Just sprung him.
Yeah, and it was great, and we were all over the place. I remember City John coming up to pick up my eggshells and my prep.
No, you got in a taxi with them on your lap. You wouldn't let anyone take them.
That was in City John's van.
Yeah, but they were on your lap.
Yeah,
because they were just eggs.
Yeah, they were literally just.
So that's like
boiled eggshells.
Portions. It's like that, 30 to a tray.
Yeah.
A load of work, but it's. I just remember it being sort of wrapped.
Yeah, because they were full of the egg white. Then I had the bloody carrot juice toast, and then I remember needing some dry ice. Couldn't get dry ice for love nor money. Didn't really have an ice company that we worked with, and then some chemist who followed me on Twitter, who worked in cancer research on Tottenham Court Road, said, "Right, we'll keep this among us, but meet me at the end of Tottenham Court Road. So I remember getting in with our Irish guy, Devonshire now. Oh, what's his bloody name? Runs a Devonshire with Ashley Palmer once. Irish guy, top best publican in London, basically.
Muck.
McMoop.
That's it.
Yeah. He turned up in his car with Melissa, who does the beers.
Yeah.
Melissa Cole.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we just ended up, he ran me over to Tottenham Court Road to basically get this cool box on wheels of dry ice. It was great. It was amazing. From one conversation on Twitter, just the speed that grew to, so probably what we started talking end of Feb and we were delivering it early April.
Oh, it was just weeks in the thing. But I remember we were eating at the venue, having staff lunch. Someone who was David Hearn, I think.
Yeah.
Looking for volunteers. Anybody with charge still left in their phone. That was and I went, volunteer for everything. Yeah, okay. Well, we need to go and collect some prizes, small raffle prizes from this address. And if you've got charge in your phone, then we can get hold of you if there's anything goes wrong. Yeah. So get in this van. I wasn't driving, just via phone and A to Z, and we go. And I said, where are we going? So I looked at it and I went, I know these people. I know nobody in London, but there's one of the few people, Annie and Gavin, who used to come down with Cornwall, Cornwallism food extravaganzas.
Yeah.
And I'd had my first Michelin experience at that lunch at Chez Bruce.
Okay.
So all these connection things, I was like, I know these people. And I hadn't known that Annie was doing a lot of the stuff behind the scenes.
Right, yeah.
So we get to their flat and I went, sorry, do you mind if I knocked on the door? And Gavin answered, and it was the biggest double take you've ever seen. What are you doing here, Adrian? I was like, I've come to collect. I think someone had donated Kenwood mixers or something. And I needed to get them because I just couldn't get all the stuff. So anyway, it was one of those lots of connections. For me, it was a massive sliding door moment of connecting with people. Russ especially, but working in your kitchen, just, I don't know, it was just lots of little connections. I found the local coffee guy was doing the coffee there. I didn't know that until I bumped into him and he goes, hello Adrian, have you got any scales? I've come and he's doing bulk brew, but he wants to measure his coffee soon. And Hugh guy used to do the coffee in town. Didn't really know him, but enough to go, what the hell are you doing here? Oh, I'm doing coffee. But we're in London, we're hundreds of miles from home. Do you have scales? No, but I know a man who does. Yeah. Went down into the basement kitchen where Ed Kimber, first Bake Off winner, who was doing petit fours. I knew he had scales because I'd been down there earlier, and he was. When I went, can I borrow these? And interrupted some interview. And then discovered because it was like, I don't know, 4 kitchens,
something like that. It was well, I mean, we were in function rooms and everything. I remember my boys doing the eggs, and it was great as well because I mean, all the help that came out the woodwork. All I had to do was take a spherified carrot thing and plonk it in there, and I had like 6 boys doing it. Everyone just wanted it. Yeah,
because we moved we were going to be plating up on 2 floors up.
Yeah.
For Russ's prawn dish.
Yeah.
And about half hour before we were serving, no, actually, it would be a lot easier if we just served like just outside the doors.
I remember plating it,
And I remember, what's his name? South African, Grant, going, right, basically going into that room and shoved, because it was full of front of house staff, sort of loitering and hanging, and basically shoved them all down the stairwell. And all these tables arrived, like, folding tables, and they just sprang up, and we could then plate a lot quicker and a lot closer to the actual guests.
Yeah.
But that was mad.
Yeah.
That was. And Melissa, you end up having the wooden beer I had at the end.
Yeah.
Because I was going back to yours.
Yeah, you were staying at mine, I think. Yeah.
And I was driving. Anyway, I knew I was driving somewhere. I think from the station to yours.
Yeah.
With the boys, with Russ. But that was my first meeting with Melissa. But then she hosted Roll Off.
Yeah.
And so your paths cross again like 10 years later.
Yeah.
I always found that really interesting and fascinating of the different worlds.
Yes, yeah, and the fact that quite often the
A
same.
lot of this doesn't mean anything to you, but it means something to us. So,
yeah, the same. There's definitely a core of people that they're not always together, but you're kind of in and out, and it's like an atom doing its thing, isn't it? We're just people popping in and out.
There's a thread that runs. Years ago, Facebook used to have this wheel thing, a friendship wheel.
Right.
So if you have 100 names around the outside, and there'll be lines connecting who knows who.
Yeah.
So if you're connected to a lot of people,
so
there'll be a lot of fan coming out from your name, and then you see the sort of the people that knew someone.
Yeah.
That, oh God, yeah, look at him, and he knows all these people that I know, but I don't know them. But you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I love that, and I think Kaiwake was a massive example of that. Different worlds colliding, and making some really long-lasting friendships and stuff. But anyway,
such a fabulous event. Anyway,
so James doing this. Was it Scandinavian, Danish?
It was Danish owned.
Danish owned.
Yeah, so it was Danish owned. We did Kaiwake, that was wonderful. Did a couple of kind of school PTA projects from there as well, like 1,000 scones I made every year. Used to prep a lot of the annual barbecue crap from there and then find a way of getting it home, like 70 odd miles. But anyway, so as part of that, we also got about 2/3 of the way. I think I was there for about 3 years. So after a couple of years, the owner kind of felt like he needed a bit more control over everything, and he wanted a Danish section within like our food. So what he employed a lovely lady, I forget her name now, but she was kind of a real old school Danish cook. Overcook everything. I'm not biggest fan of their food, but it was a great version of what they do. And she came in, and we kind of made room for her, and she had her own little Danish section, and we do little Danish events and everything. But her husband was the Minister for Tourism for Denmark and responsible for René Redzepi's Noma book launch.
Okay.
And they wanted somebody to do canapes. So she told him to give the canapes to me. And obviously, in the interest of a happy marriage, that's exactly what he did. And so, me and the team then got to do the canapes for his book launch, the first one he actually talks about. And so met René, lovely guy. Definitely, he just gives off that aura of why he's got to where he is. We're all a little bit mad, but that genius spark. And he was definitely, so I just randomly out of nowhere said it'd be really good. I'd love to come and do a stage, do a week. Didn't really think anything through. It was a different country. Stages are unpaid. Whereas before I really liked money. Now I kind of need it. Kids rely on it. And my pastry chef was totally gung-ho into every kind of new modern food style as well, Gareth. And René's like, yeah, fine, Torsten, fix it. And obviously, Noma being Noma, when I was at the Fat Duck, I was one stage. I was on my own. I was the only stage in the brigade. So you get a little bit of attention from everybody. You help everyone, and they draw you in, and they help you. They show you loads, and Heston used to spoon feed me on the pass. It was great. But obviously then we set up the Noma stage. Gareth went first. And because of Trolls, he kept about 14 different apartments in Copenhagen. Mm-hmm. So we just got one. We got given one. So accommodation. Just got to worry about the flight. Trolls paid for our flights. This is getting better. Just got to book 5 days holiday. Happy days. And anyway, so he comes back. He had to go, and then there was a week of us overlapping. And then I was going. And he came back a broken man.
Oh man.
Yeah, and he just gave me a regale. He goes, "You're going. You'll see a different side. I wanted to do pastry, but I did a bit of this, bit of that, and just pray you don't do fucking veal threads," is what he told me. Take your own masking tape. Take your own Z-fold paper towels, and you'll be in. If you've got a pack of Z-folds, they'll love you because they used to dry their herbs on them, but they used to make them reuse them. And yeah, so I went out, and all of a sudden now I'm in a kitchen that's got like 18 paid staff and 25 stagiaires.
Wow.
And it was a great experience. Don't get me wrong. Would I do it again? Not a fucking chance.
I do remember you telling me about peeling walnuts.
Yeah, we were peeling walnuts, so you blanch and you'd peel them like any walnut, but obviously each one had to be the perfect complete half and look like a brain.
Yeah, and the strands of meat, the fibres of meat.
So Gareth had veal threads. Thankfully, I didn't.
Right, I remember you telling me about it.
Yeah, that was off the menu. So, nicely braised veal and everything, but every single strand of meat to come off. And then they used to make basically a rosti out of it, like a wafer rosti, and they'd pan fry it. What I had was taking the skin off the duck stock. So, when you put duck stock, you put a meat stock on and it's got fat on it, and then you get that paper thin skin. Well, if you're batshit enough, you can take that off, lay it carefully. You can cut it to the perfect size of the toast it needs to sit on, and then you can pan fry the fucker. And yeah, I didn't get to do many of them because I wasn't very good at it. And it was only for VIP, so they had to do about 10 a day. The worst part of that experience was they made the stagiaires climb up on the stoves and clean the windows. So you walk in, the kitchen's there, the old kitchen, and the old restaurant, and then it was all glass around the kitchen, etc. And you have to clean the windows. And I'm going, yeah, I'm happy to clean up the windows, but when you stop fucking boiling, you go, no, we go clean them now. I was like, you fucking clean them yourself then. I'll clean them, I don't mind climbing. I'll clean. I'm a bit old for this shit, but I can do it. But you got to stop boiling. I've literally tried cleaning that twice now, and the steam from your fucking rolling boiled duck stock is just ruining it. Well, I'll fucking clean it then, fine. So I spent most of my time at Noma wrapping pickled vegetables around my little finger. So the classic dish that Matt Follis did when he won 2009 at Noma was this. You've got 7 different vegetables all peeled, pickled, and in kind of thin strips about yay long. You just wrap it around your little finger, and then you've got lots and lots of these. A little bit of kind of torched bone marrow, a little pork jus, lots of herbs. And again, the weirdness of something like that was we used to have to get chervil, and you'd pick the leaves off the chervil and put the leaves in the staff box because you wanted it windswept. So you took all the leaves off a peluche of chervil, and then you'd serve the chervil, but it all had to face the same way, like the wind was blowing in the same direction, and nothing could really have. Tarragon was all right, the little thin, tiny bits of tarragon. So we had to go through tarragon boxes to get the leaves for one dish, slightly bigger leaves for another dish, some leaves for chopping, and some to send back. They used to have a dish on which was essentially a whole leek, and another stagier's job was to clean all the dirt out of the fronds, because you kept the fronds on, you weren't allowed to cut them off or anything. So you clean that thoroughly. But then they'd blanch that much, and then for service they'd kind of deep fry it, put some confit garlic puree inside, and then at the table you were presented a whole leek. And yeah, it looked fun, yes, you grabbed a leek and you bit the cooked bit off, and that was it. But you can imagine there's this poor leek grower that turned up every day, and he'd have to walk upstairs with about 15 boxes of leeks. Sous chefs and head chefs would go through the ones they wanted, and then about 15 minutes later, you'd see this poor leek grower walking down with like 2 less boxes than he walked up with.
Going off to someone that
every day, to sack it off in a hotel somewhere. They just wanted to chop it up for a bit of mirepoix.
You wanted leeks.
Yeah.
Well, not your problem, but you need suppliers like that. We're talking about leeks that a guy comes in to Noma with 15 boxes. That's what you need.
But they only need 2 boxes of leeks. So they pick all the right leeks out, and then they send the 13 back.
Because you're cooking. Just because I've had a beer? Probably. But you need suppliers at the top 3% to match.
No. It's no. You just need someone that will come with 15 boxes of leeks so you can sort through. Yeah. In the nicest. I mean, that's the biggest compliment I can say. It's not like, I think it's difficult to get the level of produce that you need and that you want from what we have available. I think it's the biggest problem you face. It's not the cooking. That's the easy bit. I think it's finding the supply of the ingredients at that level.
Well, yes, because you can't afford waste.
Waste,
That's
that's
the
the
thing. The biggest problem in the industry is, you can buy 10 kilo leeks. You only actually need 2 kilos of the best ones. So, but you still have to do something with the other 8 kilos in the normal world.
Yeah.
You need the leek guy to turn up to you first so you can pick out the best. But you know that leek guy can still give you the best price because he's got rid of all the other leeks in 15 hotels around.
And you need a leek grower that's wants to do that.
Yeah, because a leek grower
wants to supply Noma.
Yeah.
And once
Your Noma, once you get there, you can have 28 people go, can I come and work for free, please?
Yeah.
And it becomes a lot easier when restaurants run.
Yeah.
But to get there, and to get people banging on the door going, we would love to supply you with leeks.
Yes.
How many A1 quality leeks do you need today, sir? Because it's Noma.
Yeah, I mean, and
but it's catch-22. How do you get there? How do you get that level of produce?
Yeah, I mean, because we used to have the lecture of because a lot of 3 stars quite often are break-even businesses because they are there, and their revenue streams come from books, from the private Middle Eastern dinners that sometimes they'll go off and do, and that kind of shit, and but they don't get all of this without that in existence. But Noma was kind of, we were constantly reminded of watch your waste, be careful, this, that, the other, because it has a P&L to worry about. Anyway, so that was the Noma experience in a nutshell. I just got to that age where I could barely manage that length of day. I mean, bless them. I would walk in at 7 in the morning and everyone was already there. I left at 1 in the morning and they were starting, the chef de parties and everything were pulling their fridges out to plan the next day. It was just that gung-ho, like I was saying earlier, it's that gung-ho difference of, and also silly little things like, every probably not quite like Kirk Hollis, every 30 minutes we have the carpets. But yeah, say every 3 hours, it was a call to arms and you sealed and fridged everything you were working on. There was kind of a prep in progress trolley in the middle of the fridge. So you loaded all your shit on there and then you scrubbed everything down to the fucking wheels on the benches on the floor. And you scrubbed it to the nth degree. You scrubbed the floor, you power washed the walls down. Scrub it to the nth degree, bosh, and that was production kitchen. And then you got your shit back out and you cracked on. Family meal was 5 till 6. That was religious. You had to have a fucking good excuse to carry on working through family meal time, and it was a good meal. Don't get me wrong. The guy Alex who did the star food while I was there, the shit he knocked out, and I'm in charge of food for about 200 people now. And I'd say that he put out about the same amount of food for the 60 of us. Big mountain, everybody with their plate. And it was the only meal of the day. You were eating cucumbers and tarragon stalks for the rest of the day. But this you'd walk off with this mountain of food. It was lush. It was lush. Anyway, so, and it was only 5 days of my life. But then on the back of that, so not long after that one, so that must have been January, April, May. So pretty much on the back of that, because I was blogging a Stage's Eye View when I still had my blog. Of that, I got the attention of a guy called Stuart Burkwood, who was the GM of Sheraton, I think, in Riyadh. And he was the head of his chaîne de rôtisseurs at the time. And they had a Danish connection, and they wanted to do a Danish meal in Riyadh. And they asked me if I'd do it. And I thought, yeah, I can do that. Don't know what I'm doing, but I can do that.
Yeah.
So I came up with a Danish menu, usual panic about visas and everything. And I got to spend 5 fully expenses paid days out there. I got kicked out of economy when I was on the plane because the head of BMI was also on the chaîne de rôtisseurs, so he slapped me in business class. That was adorable, and just asked that I write a little blog piece about the food on the way back. And because it was my youngest was due any minute, bless him, he kept me a seat on every single plane out of Riyadh during my time there. That was really sweet, and that was a wonderful experience. And when I got there, I thought, right, head down, 5 days, just crack. I've got to do a tasting in 2 days for everyone, and then get that signed off, and then I've got 3 days to put it together. I then have to go into the Danish embassy, cook it, serve it, fanfares, all that nonsense. And so I got in, and the exec showed me around, had dinner with me on the first day. We were just chatting shooting the breeze. Got into his kitchen, kind of 8 o'clock following morning, and he goes, "Right, that's your sous chef." I was like, "Okay, yeah, well, yeah, okay." So I just call on him. No, he's working with you. And I went, right, so canapes wise, we need to do this long list. And the I think Chef de Partie on the larder just came over and went, "Okay, I'll have samples for these for you later." And they just gave him a small sheet of recipes. Sous chef goes, "I've got all the recipes, I've got all the kit that you need. It's just we can't get buttermilk here, so we need a solution for the dessert, for everything else." And then I got to a kind of 5 o'clock on day one, and we kind of just got the stocks on, and we'd done that. So a few like donkey work jobs. And it was like 5 o'clock, right? So what's left to do today? And there was like 3 or 4 jobs. And I thought, yeah, I'll be done by about 9 today. And then, so it's not brutal. And he goes, right, fine. I know what I'm doing there, What do you want with this? How's the end? Right, okay. Right, that. Fine, okay, go. And I got kicked out of the kitchen by 6 o'clock and got told to go eat in one of the restaurants. And that was it. I was only allowed to work until 6 o'clock every day, except for the dinner day. And yeah, it was weird. I was treated like utter royalty, and it made me so happy and yet so uncomfortable. Yeah. But it was great. It was such a wonderful, wonderful bunch of people. And, they were all so enthusiastic about what they were working on, what we were working on, all the other sections. Having water coming out the cold tap at 41 degrees was a little, I need to refresh this veg quickly. Somebody from somewhere just appears with a big trug of ice on wheels. Yeah, quick, chef, I help you. Nice. And it was fabulous. So yeah, in that kind of window of time, and then obviously came back, and then I had a 5th child, and life was very much upside down, and it was just phenomenal. And I carried on at St. James, and then my payout came out for my leg, which was a reasonable sum of money. And like every chef, I thought, stupidly, I want to do my own thing. I want to buy a business, and I want to just be my own boss and do this. What an idiot! But anyway, I started the pub. Yeah, and that totally killed every enthusiasm I had for this industry.
Tough times.
First 6 months were absolutely amazing. I was doing my own thing. I had this picture postcard, lovely village pub, and in a village that kind of actively avoided having anyone driving through it, which was sad. Yeah, it was a beautiful pub, but obviously when you're digging your own ditch, you can't just dream up menus and cook nice food. If you've got a bit of spare time, you better get used to descaling the urinals. Who have I got working today? Okay, I'm the only one that knows how to do any cellar work, right? Okay, best go and make sure all my beer is tip-top. And yeah, thankfully, we lost the pub long before COVID, because that would have just annihilated me. But, I've never been shy of hard work. I don't no problem with that at all. But 100-day straights, yeah, because you've just got that, we're a village pub, we can't really close. I used to close Sunday nights, and then it would be like, can we come down? And then we'd have cricket every other Sunday through the summer. And it's just, exactly. I'm not, I'm preaching to the converted here, aren't I? It's,
No, well, pubs are different. Pubs are part of the community, and they have to change. How many pubs now don't do lunch? Open at 4, do 7-hour shifts, 4 to 11, but not doing splits. And that's in Cornwall, pub that I know. And we're a touristy place.
Yeah.
That's not a seasonal thing. That's year round.
Yeah.
Because that town pubs are going to survive the storm at the moment. Is to we'll just do the most profitable bit.
Yeah.
Early dinners, lunch. Back when I had the bistro, lunch was never the massive money spinner. We were an evening restaurant.
Yeah.
And we'd try and bolt on a bit of lunch, but it was the first thing to go when we wanted to tighten the belts and go. We spend a lot of money to take a bit more money at lunch. Why don't we just
don't spend it at all, and then maybe try and get a couple of quid out of each one person.
If you did an extra night and did no lunches, you'd be better off.
Yeah.
So but I was never good at the numbers. But So you had the pub. After the pub, we've been going an hour, which is great.
Wow. I can waffle. So after the pub, I was, to be quite honest with you, so jaded of the entire industry. Because when you lose your pub, you lose your home. So we lived in a caravan for a bit, which was an interesting experience. I, for a bit of cash, went to help a mate do a day on a building site.
Yeah.
I didn't realise exactly how dangerous concrete is.
Yeah.
I learned that one the hard way, and then my wife had to move into our new house without me because the doctors wouldn't let me out until they'd moved. So she wasn't exactly chuffed. We had lots of help, which was lovely. But yeah, I was still, and then I wasn't walking properly for probably 4 to 6 weeks post that. And yeah, so I took 6 months off in the end. It just kind of 1 month dripped to another month, dripped to another month, and it turned out to be about 6 months. And then I thought, I need to get back in the game. Cooking's all I really know that I can kind of walk into something I can earn a reasonable amount on. And yeah, so I teed up interviews at Duck and Waffle, and I teed up interviews at Champneys out in the country, and went for trials kind of back to back, one day, next day. And Duck and Waffle was for night sous chef, and I thought that's quite good because I don't have to deal with like too many human beings. Champneys was, as you'd expect, it was just another kitchen. They just used less cream, less butter. But generally the food was the same. I staged. I did bits and bobs at both, and thankfully, both. Yeah, there was nothing wrong with either job, but they both kind of landed on the table as we want you within about 5 minutes of each other, and Duck and Waffle just happened to be first. Although I think there was just a bit of a better vibe about Duck and Waffle. And yeah, so I took a night sous chef job there, and all of a sudden I'm trying to work out how to sleep through the day and all that. And I've done the odd night shift. I know they're fairly horrible. I'm now going to do it for a living. I did it for 18 months. Never interested in kind of sitting on my laurels when I'm doing it. Started introducing a few new dishes, got a few new dishes on the menu on the overnight. Dan didn't really care about overnight. Dan Doherty at the time, it was kind of, yes, that's tasty. Yes, you can put it on. Not having it on the day menu, but I don't care about night guests. Maybe, gave me warm and fuzzy. And and then
it's 24/7.
It's 24/7. We were doing, at the time, we could do up to 300 covers on a Friday and Saturday night. Those have always been like the busiest days. But we would do, so Sunday I'd be off Sunday, Mondays, but we'd still do kind of 60, 80 on a Sunday, Monday, which is kind of enviable to a lot of restaurants. But when you're on a rooftop on a skyscraper, that doesn't even pay the rent. But and then it would kind of climb up during the week. We could do 200 on a Thursday, but it's kind of 100 covers Sunday to Wednesday. And you'd be busy till 2 every single day of the week. And then it would either kind of nosedive to nothing or just keep going. And we used to have people queuing around the block at 4 o'clock in the morning, especially when the sunrise was in. The sunrise was in it. And I do miss the sunrises. They were lush. They were lovely. But after about 18 months, I'm going, going nowhere here, and I need to get into days because this is killing me. Because I was still not like a lot of night workers. They keep their clocks going on their days off.
Yeah.
So they still sleep during the day. Me, no, I'd put myself through the pain of turning my clock around. I'd be okay for a day, and then I have to turn it around again. I always turn up on Tuesday after having about 30 minutes sleep because I just couldn't turn it round until I was exhausted when I got back. And it was just too painful. So then I pushed on, and I thought, right, okay, I spoke to Sally and said, the only way I think I can make this work, a couple of sous chefs were leaving, so there was going to be a reshuffle anyway, I could see it coming. And I went to Sal and went, this is what I think I need to do. It's the only way I'm going to get any kind of better money here. But I'm probably going to have to get back on a bike. So she sucked a lot of air through her teeth and went, and she understood. And so I spoke to Tom Sensi, who was the boss at the time, and said, Ben's leaving, James is going to go, etc. Right, you're going to need a sous chef up here, hats in the ring. And he goes, right, okay, yeah, noted, fine. Yes, we'll find something for you to get you away from nights. Just don't know what it is yet. I'll be in touch. And anyway, I was down Cornwall. And don't usually ignore my emails. I'll skim them so I'm not out of the loop, but I don't pay them any heed. One comes from Tom, and he goes, well, we're going to move James upstairs before he goes, and he can just rot upstairs until he pisses off, which leaves a hole in production. I need a strong sous chef in production. It's going to be this much money, and it's going to be 8 till 5, Monday to Friday. Are you interested? Oh, I couldn't have fucking replied yes quick enough, could I?
Yes, please. Thank you. Yes, please.
And I've kind of been there ever since. Yeah, just kind of just plodded. I mean, yes, it's an animal. Yes, it's not without its challenges. We're still doing. COVID kind of really knocked it on the head, and we also had a toxic bunch of wankers in the top flight jobs during that period of time, which meant I did have a small hiatus over in Greenwich with Dan Doherty.
Oh yeah.
I just left Duck and Waffle for a year, but then travel restrictions ended. Bosses came over, realised it was bad, got rid of the toxicity, put some firm but fair people in place, and brought my old boss back, more to the point. And I returned, and there I've been ever since. But when we hit COVID, and obviously it was kind of furlough, what do I do now? I'm a chef. So I spent a couple of weeks, and I would spend the whole day on the family meal. For about a fortnight, Sally still had to work because she was working for frontline workers. She was a nanny for a doctor, so they kept her on, and she was working a lot less, but she still had to go. So I was just at a loose end. I'm not gung ho about doing stuff, but I'm used to doing stuff. Yeah. So I wouldn't make a chicken curry for dinner. I'd make half a dozen accompaniments. I'd make my own naan breads. Toy with can I make a poppadom, that kind of shit. And I just didn't know where to put myself, starting to homeschool my kid, and he's less than perceptive to that. So that was a frustrating morning every morning, but you do what you do. And and I'm like, I fucking hate sourdough. I think sourdough is one of the worst fashions going. I'd never understood why you would want to eat bread that's chewy. Sorry, everybody else. No, I appreciate that's an unpopular opinion.
I'm not big. I don't.
And the worst thing you can do with a banana is cook it. So banana bread was out of the question. So there's the two chefy trends immediately at the beginning of COVID. I just couldn't do it. However, I'd seen a guy called Key West Pottery on Instagram, TikTok, one of those two. And it's fascinating. He throws, like in red stoneware, and he just sits there. He's a chill guy in a beard, always in shorts because he's in the Florida Keys. And he was just throwing these massive vessels. And every time he popped up my timeline, I was like, got to try it. Got to give it a go. Want to do that. And it had obviously filtered into conversation with my missus. And my 50th birthday, which was interesting, she took me to Poland. We're going to do Auschwitz. We're going to do somewhere a bit different, a little bit, take me away. And we landed in the country, and they gave us 24 hours to get out because they were shutting the borders. Yeah, so that was an interesting story all by itself, of coming back via 2 airports in Sweden to the wrong London airport. Yeah, at the cost of a lot of money to my in-laws because they bought the tickets. But anyway. And as part of my 50th thing, Sally had bought me a taster day at a local potter, which of course had been cancelled because of COVID, like the whole world had been cancelled. So I'm just cooking these elaborate teas for the family every day. And she goes, and I'm obviously just feeling sorry for myself one day, moaning that I can't try this pottery. I've come across a certificate since my birthday. I'd really like to do that. And so she's straight, bless her, she's super proactive. And she goes on Amazon and she goes, well, why don't you just buy one of these? And it was just like a pottery wheel for 120 quid. Yeah, it looked like a toy. And I found a bag of clay on Amazon for something extortionate, like £25.
A bag of clay,
Yeah, and this, like what I know now to be utter shit pottery toolkit, but so over the next few days, I'm getting excited, and this shit starts arriving, and as a family, we've ripped the garage out, and we've convinced my father-in-law it'd be an amazing thing to do to help us shelve it and get some lovely shelving in. And Yeah, so this little wheel turns up, and by now I'm just watching everybody online, and I'm learning all the terms of centering, opening out, pulling up, and all this. And so I sit there at this pottery wheel with my stupidly chosen terracotta clay, and I can't center it. Again, watch the YouTube video again. Yeah, you do that. Right, I'm locking my arm in. I do. It's not working. And for about 2 weeks, it was just perseverance and bloody mindedness. I couldn't get it. I pulled a couple of pots that were shocking. And yeah, I kind of understood the fundamentals, but couldn't get it in my head. I just missed that pottery teacher putting their arms around you and forcing your hands to where they should be. But YouTube being YouTube did its wonderful thing. And a guy called Dante he's a chef somewhere from Earth Nation Ceramics. I just watched everything he'd put up online, and yeah, I just watched it repeated until, right, I can center this shit. I got you. I get it now. I know what it's supposed to feel like. Yeah, never look back.
And how long have you been throwing pots?
Since COVID. Which is 2021.
4 years.
2020. First lockdown. So March 2020. So probably mid-April.
Yeah. So
yeah.
5 years.
Yeah. And
your new thing.
Yes, and yeah, just adore it. And part of my foot back in on Duck and Waffle was I'd spoken to Barbosa when he went back, and he just wanted something really. When he was in Hong Kong, they had this like half a pig out of silver. They used to put the bacon wrap dates on. So I was like, I can't make that. However, I can make a pig snout. Let's give it a go. So I literally just turned up with some plate samples, just trying to flog my wares to him, and he just went, do you enjoy your job? And when I went to the pub, it was the same hours, it was the same gig, but pubs being pubs didn't need that. It needed somebody who could do doubles at weekends and be there every Sunday and things, and I didn't want to be that guy. And I went, same hours? He goes, yeah. What's the money? More? Right, good. Yeah, fine, I'll come back. And yeah, but I've kept the pottery going and pushed it, and it's generally just kind of just like chefing, really. You just try and be a little bit better every day, and just do what you do. And eventually, I've said this now, and I don't know whether it'll ring true, but I want this now to be my last kitchen job.
Yeah.
I'm too old. I'm done. I've cooked everything I want to cook.
Yeah.
I'm still fascinated by food and what you can do with it, etc., and all that. But I don't have that. I don't have the fire in my belly that my
it's moved on to something else.
Colleagues do. Yes.
I think it's difficult to have two mistresses.
Yeah, I think that's a valid point. Yeah.
You've given everything to the food and your family and all the other stuff, but food and chefing and cooking and hospitality, that's been everything from your first after the cheap fleeces.
Yeah,
it's been solid. Apart from injuring yourself working on a site, but it's been solid, and you still got passion for it, but it's less so. But you have found that it's not like you're lacking of passion. This passion is now for ceramics and the design and I see your stuff.
I
never knitted in my life, but I love your yarn ball thingies.
Yeah,
the thing. I can, because my grand and my mum knit and all that.
Yeah.
You go, I understand what that's for. That's functional.
Yeah.
I understand what that swirly bit's for.
Yeah.
But it's beautiful.
Thank you.
Do you mean?
No, I get it. But it's that tactileness of when you produce a plate of food, you produce it with your hands, and then you know every process that went to that. I have a similar thing with clay, from wedging it to taking it out the kiln with a heat-proof glove. I made that, which is why I make my own glazes and things like that. I don't just use the bottle stuff, because I'm not the arty-farty one. Sally is that. So anything you see with a very, very pretty pattern painted on it is not me.
Have you played your strengths?
Yes.
I think we should wrap it up there, because we've gone from...
Well, we've reached today.
Schoolboy,
sorted
places, massive careers in catering.
Thank you for allowing me to waffle.
No, it's... and duck. No, see, I've forgotten about the stages in I can remember the Noma one because I just remember this walnut thing.
Yeah,
This thing people mention.
Yeah.
But the other stuff, I'd forgotten about going to the back deck. And endlessly fascinating. So thank you for your time.
Not at all. Thank you.
That was episode 15. It's a long one, but it's a long career.
Yeah, sorry guys. Yeah,
Let me
drag that one out.
apologise.
I'm
This is
sure
a-
you
this
can
is the
press a
archive.
button and speed it up a bit.
You can do it at twice the speed.
Yeah,
It
right.
sounds really weird.
Yeah, I'm sure.
But this
That's
is,
all right. So if I'm like Chippendale, that's what you've done.
This is, as I always say, this is just for me and anyone else that's interested. It's not about viewing figures. It's about an archive of my mates and people I like, and their story. And that's all it is. There's nothing. There's no big agenda. Not going to go viral. It's just for
You
me.
never know. Not with me, but you never know. You might just nail that guest at that moment. Yeah.
This is just going to be a little scrapbook of chats with my
Love it.
mates.
I love it though. I love that,
We're done.
that
Episode
idea.
15, we think. Alex,
Thank you, sir.
bless your heart. Bye bye now.